What's up, everybody? Hope you all had a great weekend. Welcome to a Monday edition of Morning Cuppa Hockey presented by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And we're also presented by Parasso, the most complete choice for shaving and beard care, made in Italy since 1948. Parasso has been a staple of Italian culture and barbershops globally for 4 generations. So get 15% off at Parasso-USA.com with our promo code Hockey15 in all caps, Hockey15. That's Colby Cohen. I'm Johnny Lazarus, and we've got a great show for you today. We got one guest, Pat Ferschweiler, the head coach of the defending national champion Western Michigan Broncos. We'll hear from him in about, 30 to 40 minutes from now. A lot of topics we can get into off the hop. But first of all, Colby, how was your weekend?
My team got swept, so that's not fun. First time. Very disappointing. Blew a 3-1 lead on Friday, Johnny, and lost that game 6-5. And then we got shut out on Saturday, 3-0, while only giving up 12 shots on goal. So not a great weekend. Today? Not a great weekend for the New Jersey Titans. Am I going to bag skate them today? We're going to work.
You should bag them.
We're going to work.
Teach them a lesson.
Yeah, I mean, there was some disappointing things that happened before the game on Friday, just about people showing up late and some other things like that. So I will say I was not thrilled, but no, it's not going to be like a, hey, there's no pucks today type of bag skate. I mean, we're going to work on things we got to work on, but it's going to be heavy. It's going to be a heavy day. Like, we got to get back to work. Right.
So, I would hate to put my gear on for a heavy Colby Cohen ran practice. That would be the worst 45 to an hour 15 of my life.
Well, that's the thing. Our practices are 45 minutes. So like you can do anything for 45 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an hour and a half. It's not get on the goal line.
Yeah, no, hour and a half is too much. Too much.
Like, we'll do like a little ladder at the end of practice, and so, but that's not like punishment. We've been doing that since August. It's not, that's the guys know to they know to expect that, but I don't know. Like, I'd be interested to hear what the guys think about the practices, because they're short. They're not long. Like, they know we're gonna work hard, but it's gonna be done in 45 minutes, which, like, I don't think a lot of junior teams are taking that tact. I think they're probably practicing a little bit longer than that, hour 15 minutes at least every day. So So other than that, hockey, man, just watching hockey. That's really what it boils down to.
All right, well, let's get to some NHL stuff, because this play was the topic of conversation all weekend. Jacob Trouba with a hit on Ryan Leonard, again, in the first period in a game where Anaheim's down 1-0. So you have to think about the game situationally as well when this hit was thrown, as Vic is showing it on the screen. I do want to read Spencer Carbery's comment before we have this discussion, because I think Carbery's comments, while I think everyone that watches hockey is a fan of hockey in hockey has so much respect for Carbery, but I'm curious, Colby, if this comment was like a little bit of an overreaction or just a coach standing up for his player. So here's what Carbery said. I understand the league stance and the ref stance on the hit, which, again, the call was not a penalty. To me, we have to do something as a league. I don't know where this goes. It's just the head contact is the key, right? That's the key to all this, is the head contact. And whether he's low, he's in a very, very vulnerable spot. And my initial comment on it, Colby.
I'm ready to jump, because I'm ready to jump. So make your comment.
You jump. I don't want to hold you back. You jump.
No,
I know you jump, and I'll react.
Listen, all coaches are going to stick up for their players, but
for sure,
the reason that Ryan Leonard was vulnerable there, Johnny, is because he put himself in a 1000%. Vulnerable position.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And Ryan Leonard, and I love that he got up. He's not a kid that's laying down. He's not. I mean, he got up. He was bleeding. I don't know if he was bleeding from his nose or his mouth, but he put himself in that position by getting rid of the puck and then
looking that way
down and looking backwards. He, as you pointed out to me in the pre-show meeting that we had, he took a look. He knew Trouba was coming. I mean, there is a brief moment where he shoulder checks over this way, sees Trouba, and then continue. There it is.
Right there. Bang, Vic.
Right there. And again, we're watching all this in slow motion, so it seems like everybody had 3 hours to change their mind and change their route. But at the end of the day, That's a hockey hit. Is there some head contact? Yes, it does look like there is some head contact. It does. But we don't, because of where the hit was on the ice, we don't really have that good reverse angle shot where we can fully see it from the other side. We have like
there's a behind the
there
net.
is, but it's not because of where it is on the ice, Johnny. Like, it's not as clean as a normal reverse slash camera. Like when you're looking at an offside and you see it from one side and then you can see it from the complete other side. So we don't fully see that, but you hate the outcome because you hate to see Ryan Leonard injured, especially a guy in Ryan Leonard who's really he's really finding his game in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
For the first time consistently.
And the Caps are playing well.
Well, if they are playing very well, there's no doubt about that. I mean, Jacob Chychrun has 11 goals this year. Like, we don't talk nearly enough about Jacob Chychrun and how good he is.
No, Logan Thompson too.
I mean, Thompson, him, like those are some guys that you're kind of like, why are their names never even brought up for like Team Canada? I know Thompson's name is. Noah Dobson's the other name that, like, I got to wonder how much he's on their radar for Team Canada. He's been damn good. Watching Montreal, like, he's just so involved. But yeah, like, I don't see a problem with this hit, unfortunately, for Leonard with the outcome. But I just think this is part of what makes hockey a fast, hard, heavy, violent sport, is these types of plays. His elbows tucked, his shoulders down. There's no leaving your feet. He didn't charge. And then you've got Tom Wilson, making comments, which I think this is one of those where you probably say to Tom Wilson, listen, like, we know you've cleaned it up, because he has. Like, give credit where credit is due. But, I mean, we were just talking about him and Philip Hedl as of recent, where we defended his hit on Philip Hedl.
I said it was late, but I didn't say it was a bad hit. I just said it was late.
I defended the hit on Hedl. I didn't think it was that late. I felt like it was a continuation of the same play, which is what that was. So I think the league got it right. I think the refs got it right. I understand why Carbery has to say what he has to say, and he might very well believe it when you're living in your bubble, and you're do or die for your team. You're seeing it a certain way. But listen, I think, this one was done right as far as, not being called and not having any supplemental discipline.
Well, do you think, because here's what Wilson said after the game too, I asked him to fight. He said no, and we'll leave it at that. Like, do you think Trouba has to fight for that?
I don't think you should have to fight for a good hit. No, you knocked a player out of the game.
But here's like where the conversation.
You knocked a player out of the game. I probably would have said, yeah, okay, like I'll do it. Like I probably would have if I'm Trouba. But
yeah, but if it's Tom Wilson,
yeah, listen. Well, look, I never fought Tom Wilson clearly, but I went into a couple of fights against certain players, Johnny, like heavyweight guys in the American League, scary individuals, knowing I was going to get the shit kicked out of me. Like, full well knowing I better hang the fuck on for dear life. So should Trouba have given him it? Probably. Only because you knocked the guy out. You took a guy out of the game, right? I don't think the like neutral zone clean hit where the play continues, the player's not hurt. You should have to fight for those. But yeah, I probably would have given it to him. It's easy for me to say sitting here.
Yeah, sitting here.
Warm office, cozy home. Easy for me to have an opinion about it.
And I do want to say also, Vic and I were looking at it before. Like, off the top of your head, or let's ask the chat, how many times do you think, and this is for the chat, Jacob Trouba has been suspended in his career? Don't look it up. Don't cheat. I'm asking the chat what they think. We'll give you a second here because also, again, like, we can't be naive to the fact that this is Trouba, right? Like, Trouba and Tom Wilson, I think, are the two guys, if you had to pick two names whenever they throw a hit that caused the most conversation.
They're the best hitters in the National Hockey League.
They are.
They're the best two hitters.
Rogue Wave Creative said 6 times. A couple people saying 0. Jay Miller says 8. Mechanicsville 3. Clayton Grown World says 4. J-Rock says, do fines count? So we got a couple numbers all over the place. But Gudis, okay, so that's an interesting one. Ice Club said Gudis is insane too. I can't remember the last Rocco Gudis hit we've talked about.
He had a good one yesterday.
But I can't remember like the last one that was like controversial.
Yeah.
I'm saying like when it comes to conversation and controversy, it's those two.
Well, they've all kind of figured it out, honestly. It took them some time, but they figured out how to hit clean, how to keep their elbows in. I know there was the one where Trouba like did miss, and there was the one he got suspended on. Yeah, exactly.
So let's play the two clips we got. So Jacob Trouba was suspended twice. Vic has him on video.
In his entire career, how many years have you been in the NHL, Trouba? A lot of years?
At 15? least 10, maybe. This is maybe year 10. So here's a suspension on Erod, which again, this one was wild. Yeah, straight elbow to the chin. I think that was in the playoffs, if I remember correctly. And then the next one was one that wasn't even called during the game. This one like came after the fact. It was off of a faceoff against Vegas, I believe, at home. Yeah, Trouba just right off the faceoff gets another elbow. I don't know who that's on. But nothing happened in the game. So those are his only two suspensions. He's never been suspended for an open ice hit, never for, a big like so-and-so Trouba train hit. So all the people that like do attack Trouba, there's not like a ton of history there. Like I get it. Like you want to think there is, but there's not.
Listen, he for the most part, his huge hits in his career, they're clean. His elbows are in. Again, I know what we just watched on that one. That was no good.
Yeah.
Like no doubt. But look, in a world where guys don't really do it anymore, and you don't see those types of plays that we used to see Scott Stevens hit, do on a Wednesday, and Cronwall, I mean, now his were a little bit different because he'd get you over by the wall a little bit, but you just don't see it anymore. And I look, at the end of the day, now there's a report. I think everybody assumed concussion for Ryan Leonard. But he's in a sling, right? Yeah. So I think the reality here is he hurt his shoulder, maybe his arm. We don't know exactly. Assume shoulder, right? Because of the way that he was kind of leaning in. I mean, never good to assume on an injury, but that's what we do. I'm sure Jim the Swede remembers the Cronwall hits. A great.
He would like hit guys backwards, right?
He was unique the way he would run guys down. He was unique. We'd probably have to review some of his hits to see how they'd fall in today's game. We would, but it's just part of the game that's really gone away, Johnny. So I think when you see these sort of throwback guys like Wilson and Trouba, you get a little bit, it's jarring for people. And I think that's why you have the reaction that you have so frequently.
I'm also looking up Trouba's first season was 13-14. So yeah, this is it's 12 years. Yeah, 12 years.
In his 13th season, that's
wild.
He's been around for a while.
And again, this is a guy right now who has 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points, plus 11 in 29 games.
Oh, he's playing good hockey for that team.
Scored the first goal last night.
Listen, you talk about a team that has a general manager. Like I know in New York, everybody's pretty disillusioned with Chris Drury. I mean, I feel like you're hard pressed to find the fan base really sticking up for much that he does at this point. Go to the other side of this conversation with Pat Verbeek, because I was looking this up a little before the show. I seem to remember in the Leo Carlson draft, everybody assumed it was Bedard Fantilli. And there started to be rumblings the night before the draft where Joe Albanese in our chat is saying, I'm right here. I'd die for Drury. I think he's obviously like, he's exaggerating his comment a little bit, but I think
I don't know if he is, honestly.
Well, no, I'm saying his point is well taken. He's in Drury's corner, right? Yeah. Like, that's my point. For those of you that are audio only, like Joe Albanese in our chat, who is a big Rangers guy, he's on board with Drury. New York Marine says, I don't have any major issues with Drury. So you got 2 people in our chat right away coming for him. And then Dylan Lepresti is saying he does have a problem with Drury. So, all right, staying with Pat Verbeek. I remember the world picking Adam Fantilli number 2. And then the night before the draft, we started hearing rumblings that might not happen. Okay. And I think a lot of people question that. And now you look at Leo Carlsson and what he's become. You look at the way they almost did load management with Leo Carlsson in his first year.
His first
you remember
year.
that?
They did.
I said that. They didn't use the word load management. But then you go to the Brett Seneke pick. Okay. Beckett. Sorry, I wrote Brett down on my notes, but Beckett. I knew that didn't sound right, by the way, as I said it, but I was just going to go with it anyway. And, Central Scouting had Seneke at 13. Okay. He's the leading rookie scorer in the National Hockey League right now. He's got more goals than Ivan Demidov. Okay. And Demidov was the guy I think we all favored to win Rookie of the Year this year. But, you got to give him credit. Then you look at the trades, right? You brought in Kreider and you brought in Trouba, two guys that are leaders on any hockey team, two guys with, a lot of cachet in the National Hockey League. And you put them around all these young talents. It's pretty impressive. And with the Seneke pick, Dickinson was available. Demidov was available. Lidstrom was available. Iginla was available. Berkeley Catton was available. That big Russian defenseman, Silyev, that I think went 4th or 5th overall. He was the number 1 ranked skater in Europe. He was available. So I think quietly, Pat Verbeek of these rebuilding GMs.
I think you missed his best trade.
Who did I miss? Which one?
Did you say Drysdale for Cutter?
Oh, I have that written down. The Cutter.
Yeah, I don't think that's the
right,
best one. That's the best one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that's another one. Like you could say that was a fleece. No, I know the Flyers didn't have a lot of options there, but that was an.
Well, let me say one thing about that.
Thing.
He also took Jamie Drysdale, who was kind of establishing himself as a young, talented defenseman in the NHL.
Ooh, I'll push back a little bit there. He was struggling to stay healthy and really find.
But you could see it there.
You could see raw talent, but he was struggling to find his footing as to who he really was.
But it was a gamble.
The reason I say that, because those years when Drysdale first came in, Shaddy was on the Ducks. So I watched more Ducks those years than probably anybody. Because that team they were bad during those years. It's not like they were must-see TV at that point.
But point being, to take a young player, like a young defenseman who's shown that he's capable of playing in the NHL, point being, that's the point I'm trying to make. And yeah, looking up his numbers.
Draft pick, though, remember, wasn't his draft pick.
Looking up his numbers, I definitely see what you're getting at with the injuries. But Cutter, again, this is a college hockey player. You're trading a current NHL player for someone who's, obviously Cutter had 38 goals in 41 games in college, but that's still a gamble. It was a 1-for-1, was it not? Or what else was in that deal?
1-for-1. It was 1-for-1.
Was it a 1-for-1?
Yeah, it was pretty much 1-for-1. Yeah.
You don't really see that often. You don't see a current young NHL player traded for a college player 1-for-1. When do we see that ever happen? That's a pretty big gamble by Pat Verbeek, and seemed to work out pleasantly in his favor.
Yeah,
but I think that's his best move.
Listen, I think that it's just we got to give Pat Verbeek his flowers. I feel like we talk all about the players in Anaheim, which we should, and we talk a lot about Q.
Drysdale and a second for Cutter. Vic just told us, by the way.
Oh, is a second as well? Okay.
Still worth it.
So, Verbeek deserves a lot of credit. And it's funny. I've got to meet Pat Verbeek when I was working in Chicago. I sat with him in the meal room. He was friends with one of the other broadcasters from Chicago. So I got a chance to sit with him, just the two of us before a game one time. We were just sitting in the media meal room. And, he's a different guy, Verbeek. He's definitely a different guy. And then I saw him again later that year, and it was just him and I was actually sitting there, and there weren't any open tables. The media had really taken over the dining room at that point. So Verbeek came and sat with me. I was probably the only familiar face in there. It was a little awkward. There was definitely like some awkward silences, and I was just kind of asking him some questions and picking his brain. And this is right when he took over in February. He had, barely been the GM at that point. And, I was like, God, how's this guy going to communicate with people when he's really not much of a communicator? And even talking to like some of the coaches, Jeff Ward was there at the time, who I knew from my days in Boston, who was one of the assistants, and he had barely ever had a conversation with Verbeek, and same with Dallas Eakins. Like, it was weird. So I got to give Verbeek a lot of credit. And since we started the show talking about this hit, I wanted to make sure we got that in there, and we kind of went over some of those things, because he seemingly has pulled some good levers. Now, there's some other draft picks that have not worked out at this point. There's definitely some other guys. Now, they drafted that kid, Eric Nilsson, who plays on Michigan State in the second round. He looks really good. Like, he looks like a second-round pick that's going to play. He looks mature. He's going to play on Sweden's World Junior team this year. He's really good. They have that defenseman who is his first year's draft, first-round pick, I think in the mid-20s, that Russian defenseman whose name has been talked about in some trade circles. Trying to remember the kid's name exactly. It was like Minton or Minutinov or whatever.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah, his name has been talked about in trades.
So Minchikov.
Is that
Pavel Minchikov? Yeah, Pavel Minchikov. Yeah.
So his name has
I was looking at the chat.
He's 20. He was a 22 draft pick, so that was like right after he got in charge, right? Right after he got in charge. But we'll see. Like, some of these other guys, Roger McQueen, he's at Providence. We'll see how
he's good, man. He's good.
I
call the Providence UMass game.
I'll see him in a month. I'm doing BC Providence next month, so I'll get to see him up close and personal. I already talked about the kid Eric Nilsson. He looks like a stud. And we'll see how some of these other second and third round picks go. But this team looks pretty well set up, Johnny. And they seem to be in on big names too. Like, when we're talking about some of these big name trades, they seem to be involved, and they seem to be in on some of these things.
Well, I told you last year when I went to Anaheim, like, I was there for the Rangers Ducks game in March, and like the whole culture, vibe, whatever you want to call it, around the organization is incredible. Like, I had a long talk with Frankie Petrano. Like, he was talking about how much he loves playing there. Like, the fans aren't really on them. There's not like a lot of pressure or heat from media. Like, it's just a very relaxed culture out there, but the guys also still want to win. It's competitive. It's not like they just show up to the rink every day and like, oh, here we go, whatever. Who gives a fuck? We're playing in Anaheim. Like, those guys are competitive, but it's a very nice lifestyle. And again, like, you don't have the pressure or the heat around you. And it seems like it's just easy to have the game be more enjoyable there, if that makes sense.
It's not as heavy
that
when
makes
things
sense.
aren't working out. It's just it's not as heavy. So we'll see like what their ability to sustain is. I mean, I think they're in first place still. You're seeing some of the other rebuild teams drop off a little bit. I know
Chicago's struggling lately.
I know San Jose got a huge win last night, and Celebrini had another 3-4 point night, but Chicago seems to be in a little bit of a rut right now. And we're going to have we're going to have Pat Ferschweiler on the show, who worked with Jeff Blashill. They worked together at Western, and they worked together in Detroit. So we'll get to maybe ask him a little bit about that. And look, Firsch is a guy who's interviewed for some NHL jobs. And I think the thing that I said to you about this, and I even talked about this, is he's got presence. Like, he could walk in and have the presence to be an NHL head coach tomorrow. There's certain human beings that just have that presence. So, Johnny, I don't know if you want to hit on the Rangers Vegas.
Yeah, no, I do. I want to talk about that call late in the game.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Before we talk Rangers, though, just a quick word from our sponsor, Bauer And holiday season is right around the corner. And for Bauer, it's never been easier to shop. For the hockey lover on your list, Bauer's holiday gift guides bring everything together in one curated destination, from pro-level gear for players to lifestyle essentials for fans, parents, and kids. Explore custom sticks and skates that turn into truly unforgettable presents, complete with clear order by dates to guarantee holiday delivery. And if you need a little extra help choosing the right setup, Bauer's expert stick and skate buying guides walk you through every step so you can give with confidence. Perfect gifts, zero hassle, all at Bauer.com. And Colby, that play last night, late in the game, Will Borgen, Brett Howden tied up at the Rangers bench. Nothing really to it. And the official calls coincidental roughing minors to give Vegas essentially a 5-on-4 power play with the net being pulled or their goalie being pulled. And obviously in that situation, if it stays 5-on-5 and Vegas has a 6-on-5, it's much less of an advantage than it is for Vegas to have a 5-on-4 where the Rangers, again, can't ice the puck. That's why it's so significant. That's why Mike Sullivan was so pissed off after the game. Like, we see that stuff happen all the time. And to that point of the game, throughout the entire game, the Rangers hadn't had one power play the whole game either. But the significance of that coincidental roughing call with, again, like, I want to say a little bit more than 2 minutes to go in the game, you put Vegas in a great spot. You do, because they're pulling Carter Hart. They now have 5 skaters to the Rangers 4. And again, that is considered even strength. So if you're killing a 5-on-4 late in the game, but the goalie's pulled, you can't ice the puck. You have to gain the red. And Vegas had clean possession. They were moving the puck around all night very well on the power play. And Tomas Hertl gets a clean rebound past Jonathan Quick, and then overtime was wild. I mean, I don't think either team really even had a scoring chance, and then Jack Eichel gets sprung free on a great faceoff play.
4-on-4 almost the entire overtime.
There wasn't a whistle for 4 minutes and 42 seconds.
It was
crazy.
It was the entire overtime that that ended up playing 4-on-4. And I mean, how about the skill though of Eichel? I mean,
yeah, it was sick.
To be able to execute that play. I mean, first off, that's obviously a set play. There's no doubt about that. And not many guys are catching Eichel, but his hands are so quick. I mean,
he's so fun to watch. He's so fun to watch.
He is an elite hockey player, that guy, isn't he? I mean, everything that he does is the right way. He doesn't take a shortcut on the ice. And his second and third effort, his will out there, it's enjoyable to watch, right?
Yeah.
What Bruce Cassidy has gotten out of him and what he's been willing to give as a player since he went to Vegas, he really is enjoyable to watch play the game. And look, I saw you tweeted after the game, and people were actually tagging me in it. You said you thought the Rangers deserved to win that game.
I thought they did.
The first period, I texted you, and I'm
first period they were terrible.
The Rangers forgot to get off the bus today. I mean, they sleepwalked in the first period. But then they outplayed Vegas the last 2 periods. There's no doubt about it.
Third period, they tried to protect the lead. Second period, they were dominant. Third period, they did not. I wouldn't say they outplayed Vegas.
You're going to have a push from a team like Vegas. I mean, you're always going to get that pushback, but they weathered the pushback, and they didn't. I didn't think they were completely, on their heels the whole third period. I thought there was some ebb and some flow to the third period. But look, you can't sleepwalk the first period and then feel like you deserve to win the game. Maybe they deserved a little bit of a better outcome. Maybe they deserve to get that to a shootout. Like, you could look at some different things, but the hockey gods, man, they have a way of making things go in certain directions based on what you give is what you get. I mean, they really do. I mean, you're around this game long enough and you see that.
Yeah, I thought the Rangers defended really well. Honestly, for the most part, this weekend against 2 really good teams in Colorado on Saturday and Vegas last night, like the Rangers
what about
played.
The no call on the trip?
Yeah, I sent Vic the clip. I think it was Marner on Robertson in the neutral zone.
That should have been a trip, like
1,000%. 1,000%. Like, what are we doing? Like,
you don't want to see officials ref the score. I mean, that is a trip. Now,
Jonathan Quick was skating to the bench after that happened. He couldn't believe it wasn't called.
I don't think you can make the argument that he was falling on his own, right? Like, sometimes a guy's already falling and a stick gets in there and everybody freaks out and the refs kind of will let it go. To me, they just decided, hey, we've only called one all game. Like, we're not calling one. That should have been called no matter what. I don't care what the time is. I think you got to make that call.
Yeah. And again, like NYR for life, just question to Johnny. Who was the reporter who asked Mike Sullivan if he was frustrated with the Borgen Howden penalty? Not to be rude, but that's not a dumb question. That's just like allowing the coach to talk about it. I'm also, if you think it's a dumb question, I'm not going to tell you who asked it to like throw a person under the bus. But sometimes you have to just ask the simple, dumb questions to get the coach's reaction. Like we clearly saw that Mike Sullivan was heated about it. So if you ask if he's frustrated about it, he
Yeah.
can then give you the response. He's not just going to go into it himself.
Well, so there's a question. We could even ask Fersch about this when he comes on. He's going to be here any second. But
what's the question?
So is that something you do on purpose? You give him a little bit of a softball, let him get it off his chest, and then you ask him a question maybe that you want to more.
Well, that's like what we did. That's what we did last night. Like he was asked, it seems like you're frustrated about it, which he obviously was, but you have to ask that so he can like give the response. He's not just going to say it himself. And then I followed that up with, were you more frustrated because it should have been 5-on-5 versus 4-on-4? Like, were you arguing that it should have been offsetting and not coincidentals? And then he kind of got into that response. Like you have to set them up a little bit, like you can't just ask these like well thought out questions all the time. You have to give them the softball and then get into the.
Was your question the first question of the press conference? Like, was that
no. I never started. We usually, Vince Mercogliano is usually like the first question. He sits in like that front chair and like there's a pecking order in the Rangers post game. Like it's kind of like a seniority thing, which I honestly have a lot of respect for. Like other places, you kind of like raise your hand and they give you a mic. The Rangers post game, when you have a second to like get a question in, you're just attacking. Like I remember my first few games, like I didn't even ask a question because I couldn't get one in. Like, and honestly, I would never speak until Larry Brooks had asked a question. I would never overstep Larry Brooks, like or Vince.
This is a perfect segue because let's ask Fersch about some of this stuff. He's is he here now? He's been in the NHL. He's been at the helm of Western Michigan. Like, I'm curious to know his opinion on when he's doing these post-game press conferences, Johnny. So why don't you read him into the show and then ask him his opinion on this? Like, I'd love to get it.
All right. So Pat Ferschweiler, the head coach of the Western Michigan Broncos, is going to be our guest today. And this is presented by Out West. Folks, Black Friday and the holidays Black Friday's passed, but the holidays are here and the new core hoodie colors are officially restocked for the season. The everyday vest is flying off the shelf, and new Q-zips aren't moving too slow themselves. For a limited time, when you buy any item at full price, you'll get a second for just $10. No codes to remember, no extra steps. The discount will auto-apply at checkout. It's the perfect time to get started on that holiday shopping list. You know the deal. Head on over to outwest.us and grab your second item at $10 while the sale lasts. Out West, every game needs an outlaw. First of all, Coach, great to meet you. It's an honor to have you on here. Thanks for taking the time. We were just kind of talking about post-game press conferences. I don't know if we want to jump into that right away, but you deal with college students. So I sit on the media calls every week with Coach Carvel, and I hear some of the questions he's asking, but he handles it sometimes. He'll give a kid a hard time. Are you like that? I imagine you're a pretty intimidating guy to ask questions to for a college student.
Well, really, I mean, certainly the bald head, gives a certain look, but we're blessed with some pretty good students around here, and we get asked pretty decent questions at times. And I know everybody's trying their best, so I try to give them as much grace as I can.
I told Johnny going into this because he was like a little intimidated.
I was scared. I'm scared.
I said, don't worry. I said, maybe Fersch looks that way. I said, but of all the coaches we've had on, and we've had some great coaches on, I'm like, the guy you want to go drink beers and hang out with is Fersch. So I'm like, I don't think you need to be too intimidated. And you're talking about just giving Mike Sullivan the opportunity after an overtime to sort of vent and like give him a softball question just so he can get his message out. And is that something as a head coach after a game when you're frustrated about something? Like, will you just, whatever the first question is, you got to get whatever your message is off your chest, or is it sort of situational?
Well, you try to stay calm at all times, and there's certainly frustrations in that enter into coaching. But as I talk to my players, I always say frustration is weakness, and we don't want to show it at any given time. So we want to stay calm, and no matter what is going on in your thoughts, you're saying that or you're venting is really for you. It's not for anyone else. It's not going to change the outcome. It's not going to change anything after that. So try to keep it professional, stay calm. We can deal with those things after if they need to be dealt with. But in general, I try not to do that. I try not to vent. We just went through a game with Duluth, 0 penalty calls, or for us the entire game. So we didn't have a power play the entire game. I could have talked about that post game, but I don't know what good it does. So you just got to move on. You got to play forward and look through the windshield, not the rearview mirror.
Mm-hmm. And coach, for you this year, obviously, I mean, you guys have been a very good program for a long time, but this year there's a clear target on your back as defending national champions. And I'm just curious if you're feeling the difference with that from years prior. Like it's an obvious question that I have to ask. So while we talk about asking shitty questions, this might be one. But has it been different for you this year?
It hasn't, honestly, and I get the softball, the target on the back thing, but I don't believe in it. I believe that we're getting everybody's best effort every day anyway. We play in the best conference in college hockey, I believe, 7 of the last 9 national champions. So I already believe they're giving their best. I don't think there's extra motivation because we won last year. This is an entirely different team, and certainly. We've got depth of our conference from top to bottom. They're hard games every night, no matter what. But last year we obviously accomplished something that we've tried to do here for Western Michigan for 53 years or so. We're proud of it. We moved on from that. We know it's an entirely new season this year.
Yeah, and I look at the makeup of your team, and you've got William Whitelaw, who's at the top of the charts right now in scoring. And you guys have used the portal so well. And I'm curious, with your pro background, you spent years with the Red Wings. I don't know if I've talked about on this show as you being a guy who will be and give, have opportunities to go be an NHL head coach. But, have you looked at this new changing landscape as like the portal, having more players to recruit from? How has it changed the way that you guys look at things? Because, I remember looking and watching your team play up close and personal, and I always look to see, a guy like Whitelaw, he's 2 points off his career high. And I'm like, well, I know they don't play like Michigan where they're just, playing horse racing all game, but they do play a lot of offense and they do possess the puck. So, like, how has all that sort of factored into the way that you recruit with the portal, with the new players available, and like how that falls into the style of play of the Western Michigan Broncos? Because you've been must-see TV for a number of years. You really have, in the style that you play.
Yeah, we like to attack, Colby, and we like to play on our toes, and we talk about defending with the puck a lot. And I think the best defense there is to have the puck, to possess the puck, and certainly the other team is not scoring then. And if we're attacking and we're playing on our toes and we're in the offensive end, the other team's playing to change, and we're playing to score. And over time, that certainly leads us to scoring. We did lead the country in goals per game last year. I know that because I got a little plaque from the NCAA. I didn't know if we got those after the season. That was kind of fun, but we do, again, it's a style, it's a thought process. Kids enjoy it. They want to score. And the only way to get them to the next level is to have them produce points. We can't just defend our way to a contract. You've got to attack. And now that's not, we're not a poor defensive team. We play structured. And I believe that kids thrive in structure. I believe they succeed through repeatability. And so our system is based offensively on the people away from the puck giving repeatable options to the player with the puck. And so the player with the puck isn't creating the offense or creating the option. He's simply selecting from the options that are presented to him, and they're repeatable options. So he's not starting from scratch every time he touches the puck. And that way we can play real fast and we can repeat our offense. It's not just a random act of awesome skill. It's a repeatable thing. And that way we can continue to score year after year.
I actually wanted to stick with Will Whitelaw specifically. And again, like I don't want to make this like an uncomfortable question to ask, but third school in 3 years, obviously that's not a very common thing for college hockey players to go through. And your conversation when he was coming over from Michigan, I know he started at Wisconsin, like I feel like a lot of coaches would look at that as a red flag, right? Like this kid wants to be at 3 different schools in 3 different years. Like what was your conversation with him like to bring him over here? Because again, like that's just not very common.
Well, you guys have mentioned our success in the transfer portal, and I think every young man who's decided to transfer us to us has had a career year except one in career numbers. So we're confident in our ability to not look at the past of the player, understand who he is and who we've dealt with. So certainly, you always get a lot of opinions on guys, whether it's William Whitelaw or someone else. Well, this guy, he'll be a fit with you. He won't. I judge everyone only on my dealings with them. We try to pride ourselves in being the most honest coaching staff in the world. That's what I want as a player. That's what I deliver to my players at all times. So I told William exactly what success would look like for him at Western Michigan. Was he willing to buy into that? Was he willing to do it? He was going to have to change some things to be as successful as he wanted to be and make the next level of hockey. It's not about being just a great player at Western Michigan. It's about furthering your career after you come here. And he was going to have to make some changes in his game to do that through repeatability, through his ability to stay engaged at all times and really invest in his own success for the future. And I think he's done a lot of that already. I can see positive change in him through the first half of the season. Everyone can see that he's really fast and he's hyper skilled. What I did not know, and what I've surprised on the great side about, is he's hyper competitive. That young man wants to be a great hockey player. We just have to give him some guidance and some guardrails on how to be successful. And that's my goal as a coach. And my job as a coach is to give every player their path to success in our program. And that's what we're starting to do with William Whitelaw.
And Columbus Blue Jackets fans should be happy to hear that. He was a 3rd-round pick for the Blue Jackets a couple of years ago. So if you're here in our chat right now and you're a Columbus Blue Jacket fan, that's got to make you excited. What about the new arena, Fersch? I mean, you've shared about it. We talked about it at the Frozen Four last year. I'm sure whatever number we talked about then, it's probably a bigger number than it is now. But you are about, a year or so away from having the top facility in all of college hockey, and it's well deserved for all the success that you've had. But can you share a little bit with our audience that might be not overly familiar with your program? We've got a lot of Canadian viewers, we got a lot of Western Canadian viewers that are here with us every day. So talk about what you guys have going on, because I've seen photos and man, it looks unbelievable.
True dream project. We're building a new arena. Performance center. It's $600 million. It's got its own website now, kalamazooeventcenter.com. You can go check it out. I look at it too often. It's got a live camera in there, so they take a picture every hour.
Like a baby camera?
What piece of field did they put up? And it's pretty awesome. So, but when I say dream scenario, it's literally they've invited me to be part of the process for the last 3 years, and in those 3 years, they have not said no to me one time. Everything I said, we need this to be successful. Great. Love it, coach. Add it on. And they told me to think big at the start of the project. I said, I'm your guy. Let's go. And because I still think like a player, what would I want as a player to be successful? So we're going to have a world-class performance center in there, cryotherapy in there, everything, the best of the best. There is no budget. This is an imagination project. Build it with your imagination. And we're truly, truly blessed. We have it's a guy and his wife in Kalamazoo, and he's funding the program himself, and it's fully funded. And we are so excited. We're going to play in it 2027. We'll open the season in this new venue. So
wow.
The rest of this year and one more year in historic Lawson Arena, which I love because I played there. But it's time to upgrade, and we're doing it in the biggest possible way, and could not be more blessed or happy or for the program in Western Michigan. A true dream project.
Can we come for the opening weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. As soon as that thing's open, you guys can be the first through the doors.
You'll cover expenses?
One of the best.
Of course.
I'll cover your expenses, Johnny. Just to throw this
as you guys
out there.
noticed, I'm staying in a Fairfield Inn right now. Sunday I drove to Cedar Rapids last night, and then partway back, so had to stop it so I could talk to you guys this morning. But nothing but the best for sure.
We're grateful for it, and look, it's going to be absolutely incredible. One of the best student sections in college right now, the Lawson Lunatics. I've called a game there years ago when Andy Murray was at the helm first, but I want to talk about Jeff Blashill and your relationship with him. And, you worked with him at Western. You worked with him in the Detroit Red Wings. He's having a lot of success this year. I know they're on a little bit of a slide right now, but very, very impressive the way that he's gotten buy-in from that Chicago Blackhawks team. And I'm curious, is that one of your coaching mentors or somebody that you lean on? And how close are you following what he's doing and the Chicago Blackhawks?
No, closely. I get to, whenever I can watch the Blackhawks, I certainly do. And I couldn't have more respect for anyone in hockey than Jeff Blashill, and certainly gave me my opportunity at Western Michigan and with Detroit. But, he's so impressive in his ability to never accept any lack of success. So we're with the Red Wings, and we probably had undermanned rosters back in the day. And, it wasn't the glory days of the Red Wings, but he came in every day and said, how are we going to win today? No excuses. Never felt sorry for us. Came in, how are we going to win today? And he's got a relentless pursuit of success. And it is truly, truly impressive when you walk in there every day, because the NHL can beat you down. It's a game every other day for 6 months. And if you don't feel like you're getting off the bus with the best team, it can affect you, emotionally, mentally. He never let it affect him. How are we going to win today? Here's our plan. Give the players a plan to success. Drive forward, drive forward, drive forward. It was so impressive. I've certainly taken that back here to Western, and just never have an excuse. Always move forward. Always find a way. And I say you can see that with the way the Blackhawks are playing. I think they've got as bright a future as almost anyone in the NHL. You look at Anaheim's got a bright future, and you look at the Blackhawks. They not only have those young players that are on the team and leading the way right now, but there's a lot more coming. So I think the future of the Blackhawks is bright talent-wise, and I think they picked the exact correct leader to take them forward.
Well, you mentioned being with him in Detroit. Could you have ever guessed in a million years that you'd win a national championship at Western before Detroit makes the playoffs again? We were joking before that the Red Wings have the curse of Pat Ferschweiler right now.
Oh, man, I was there. My first year was the last year the Red Wings made the playoffs, and now we were gifted with a little guy named Pavel Datsyuk, so that certainly helped. But, they went through that stretch of 25 straight years making the playoffs, and to do that, they had to mortgage the future a little bit for, a number of those last, 8 or 10 years. And then as everyone aged out and there wasn't as much left. And what they've done is a tremendous job, I believe, of retooling that team. And the picks have been correct. Raymond and Sider are stars. Dylan Larker's a driver of success. What a great leader and a great young man. I got to coach him his rookie year and for 4 years after that. And I think they're on the right path. And whether it's this year or soon, I think they're going to be a perennial playoff team. They've really got that program headed back in the right direction.
Yeah, listen, hockey's better when the Detroit Red Wings are good. I think that's something just about everybody can agree with, around hockey. Quick comment here. This website, the Kalamazoo Event Center website, I mean, this is even next level from what you showed us when you showed us the stuff. I mean, this is ridiculous for a college arena. I mean, you guys are going to have like Taylor Swift performing in this place. It's so ridiculous. I mean, that is, it's really impressive what you guys are building there. And we have a great question from our chat. We're going to take a couple. And Zach, we're going to get to your question, but I'm going to start with J-Rock's question here, who's with us every single morning. And he asks, how do you measure success? Is it the growth of the player in his time? Is it how many NHLers you produce? Obviously you're doing that while you're trying to win championships, which you have won now. How does that work for you with your mindset and with your staff at Western Michigan?
Well, our stated goal at the start of every season is to get better every day. And that's our goal. And that's what we have to monitor every day. So, you can't coach next time. You can't parent next time. You've got to handle it in the moment. And our job is to make sure we're doing it right every time. And as simple as that sounds, that's actually our job. So now the repeatability comes in, and they don't know any other way to do it. And so we talk a lot about being player centric. So I'll coach them fairly hard early in the season to set the standard. And then we talk about having that standard for yourself. And then also for your line mate, your teammate, and so much. I think it's way more powerful when your teammate looks at you and says, come on, man, you got better. We need you. get engaged than it is me trying to make players do anything. So we talk at the start of the season. Your teammate will look at you this year and say he's not going to be a jerk to you. He's going to say, hey, you got better. Let's make sure we're executing every time. And you can hear it now throughout our team. If somebody misses a pass, somebody misses a pass through. No, man, on the tape every time. Let's go. And when it comes from your teammate, your peer, I think that's a powerful thing. And then they start to police themselves that way. And we're at the Frozen Four last year, and we get out there and we start every practice before the game the exact same way. Kind of just a real simple transition drill. Deke goes out this side, out that side, joins. Well, 2 of the first 5 passes, one was behind a guy and the other one was 5 feet away from his stick. And I didn't say a word. Looked at the D, and our leaders were like, boys, everything on the tape from now on, that's it. And bang, they just start snapping them on the tape. When you can self-correct, when the players can self-correct, you're in a very powerful spot of success. And that's what we're trying to get to every year.
I'm going to ask my last question here before we just give you straight chat questions, because our chat is honestly giving us gold here this morning.
Yeah, very engaged this morning. Our chat is not always this engaged when we do the college college segment.
Swear.
So
yeah,
they're loving it.
They're all over it. But mine for you, and I don't know if this is like putting you on the spot necessarily. I love asking this question to college coaches, and some are more honest than others. But I remember my freshman year, Carve put us through a 20-minute pre-scout about Tage Thompson at UConn, and 3 minutes into the game, Tage Thompson scored. Like, that's just kind of how good he was. Who's one college player that you've done such a heavy pre-scout against that like really just wowed you? Like someone that played against you guys and you were like, man, that kid is special.
0.0. We don't deal with it. Honestly, I'm not. That is not.
Yeah.
That's true. Certainly, as coaches, we might recognize it. But I never want our players feeling like they're not able to compete against whoever it is on the other side. We only give every time I start a pre-scout, I start it with these words. Here's how we're going to win tonight. And I give them a path to success, our plan. We don't talk about the other team very much at all, except how we're going to, within our system, be the most successful that we can be. So we've never honestly focused on another player from the other team. We've talked about it, the coaching staff. Do we got to get a certain D pairing out there against them as much as possible? Yes, but I played under coaches or with a coach with coaches that want to this line has to match that line and that line has to match that line. Well, when you do that, all you're doing is telling your players they're not able to play against that line. So what happens on an icy when that line comes out? Are they playing with fear? I want our players playing with a belief and a plan for success at all times. So we never try to instill fear. We never want them playing with fear out there. We only want them playing with belief. And so I think when you do that, you focus on one player, you're almost making your players, fear that guy or taking some of their belief in themselves away when they're out there on the ice against that guy. So I would never do that to our players.
Yeah. All right, I got 2 for you that are both from the chat. The first one was from Zachary82, and he's really wanting to know how important it was for you to keep Owen Michaels, and really how'd you keep him from signing with the Detroit Red Wings? I mean, he had a monster season last year statistically, and he was great in the Frozen Four as well. I remember him really stepping up to the plate for you guys in those games.
Yeah, well, we try to be as open as honest with our players at all times when they get opportunities in pro hockey. And I am certainly not, as you can look at our record from, we've had freshmen sign, sophomore sign, junior sign, and certainly senior sign since I've been the head coach here. And but we talk about when you're ready for a career, not a contract. The contract, as people may or may not know, in the National Hockey League, the entry-level contract is virtually the same for everyone. So you go first overall in the draft, you get the same contract that Owen Michaels is going to get leaving Western Michigan. But the problem is, or the concern is, you got to leave when you're ready for your second contract, your third contract. When you're ready for success in pro hockey, it's really hard. We don't want kids just signing one contract, which is done in 2 years, 3 years, 1 year, depending on the age you sign, and then being in the East Coast League or not having more chances or time in the American League to make the National Hockey League. Their goal is to play in the National Hockey League. It's not to just sign a contract. And when they're ready for that, we push them out the door. There's no doubt. But Owen, through his talks with me, felt like he needed a little more time. You remember his freshman year, he had 2 goals and 5 assists. Then last year, I think he had 18 and 18, monster jump in success. Now he's come back to Western Michigan. Statistically, he's down a little this year, but his play, he's not going to be a huge point getter in the National Hockey League. He's going to make it as a guy who can check, who's an absolute winning hockey player, who competes at the highest level. He's doing all those things for us, and he's wearing the C for Western Michigan. So I believe that leadership that he's gaining, that experience he's gaining, is going to prove, very well for him in the pro ranks. And he's certainly ready to sign whenever he's ready to sign. But we never talk someone into coming back. I give them the pros, the cons, and my belief, and then they make that decision. But we're here for their players. We want all our players to play professional hockey.
Yeah, and with your NHL, NAHL recent coaching background, you it's not like you did it 20 years ago. You were just in the NHL and the AHL. It feels like yesterday. So I feel like someone like you, or even Jay Pandolfo, like you guys are uniquely positioned because you're just coming off of NHL benches. You're there every day. You see what it takes. And, that leads me to my last question that I'm going to ask you. And this is from Nicole Vital 21 in our chat. And she asks, what skills, traits do you notice that translate best from college to the NHL? Are there certain players will be solid NHL players when you have them?
Well, 2 skills that are an absolute must in today's game. One, you have to skate. You have to be able to skate at a high level. NHL is supersonic fast. It is up and down the sheet of ice. There's no doubt about it. And 2, I think you have to be able to compete. You got to make that puck matter more to you than it does the next guy, as much as humanly possible. Even doing that, you're not going to win all your battles, but you have to win more battles than you lose. And if you can compete and skate, you at least have a chance to play at the next level. And it's so hard. It's so competitive at all times. Those are the things you really have to do for success in pro hockey.
My last one for you, Coach. And again, if you don't want to share, you don't have to. But I feel like you'd be a great guy to ask. Just as far as like a peek behind the curtains when it comes to interviewing with the NHL for a coaching job, what does that look like? Like, are you preparing like a PowerPoint presentation on what you can bring to their team? Like, I imagine it's not your typical 9-to-5 corporate job interview, right? So what kind of stuff are you talking about in those job interviews?
Well, I think each one is a unique situation, and some do want a video presentation or things like that. But I did talk with the Flyers last year, and I can tell you the process was awesome, because it was just them getting to know me and as a person, as a coach, my style, my thoughts, much like this talk right now. We went through some scenarios, some things like that. And it was informal yet formal as far as, ideas and thoughts go. And I really enjoyed it. Honestly, they got things in the right path there as well. Philly's going to do a great job. Coach Shockett's done an amazing job already with that team this year. And so I think each one is unique in that, but I think the thing you got to do as you enter those, and again, I'm super happy at Western Michigan. I've fully guaranteed my contract here at Western Michigan, so I can't commit more than that. But it's fun to take those opportunities when you get them, and I think those interviews certainly make me as a better coach here at Western Michigan. But I think each one is unique. But when you go in there, you just got to be the best version of yourself and being as honest as you can. And I think they see the honesty and the way we run our program here, and I think they like that we deliver the truth at all times.
Well, look, it's been fun getting to know you over the last couple of years, going back to when we met in the Worcester Regional when Bussy was your starting goalie. And, even that year, we felt like you guys were knocking on the door. You guys were right there. You had some really, really good seasons, and you had, like you said, players coming to your team that were all having career years. And, we talk about it on this show. That's not a coincidence. When it happens once, you could say it's a coincidence, but when it happens a dozen times, there's something in the sauce in Kalamazoo. And so, congratulations to you and all your success at Western. I know you guys have a couple of weeks off. You come out of the break and you got BC, you got 2 with Notre Dame, so you got a little run in non-conference. That's going to be fun to watch. I'll have that game on ESPN Plus for sure because you're at BC, so we'll have the opportunity to watch that game. that's on the 28th for any of you, and we'll remind you when we get closer to that. So that'll be good. Any plans here for the break? Like, will you guys practice for the next week or two, and then they'll get a week off? How do you handle the downtime?
Honestly, so starting today, we are finals at Western. So finals week, you can't have official practices anyway. The players will skate on their own, work out with our strength and conditioning coach, and then they're going to go home for a couple of weeks. We trust our players. I know that they'll come back in great shape. They're totally dedicated to, one, their own success, and two, our team's success. We've done this every year. I believe that, mental energy is just as important as physical energy in the second half of the season. So our guys come back kind of with that training camp enthusiasm when they come back after Christmas. So, and you mentioned our game's on the 28th. It's really tight. They'll get back. We'll practice two and a half times, and then we'll be right into a game with BC. I mean, that sounds crazy, but it's a truth. And if we can somehow manage to beat, get by BC, it's probably Wisconsin waiting on the other side of it.
I was wondering, because that's a tournament, right? Because it
is a tournament. It's in Milwaukee. So, so no break there. And then you said Notre Dame, and then it's, Denver and Duluth again. So, come right back into the meat grinder in the best possible way. And we relish those opportunities to play the other best teams in the country. And our players look forward to it. They get excited about it. So, but no, we give our players a long break. We trust that they'll come back in great shape, and they'll really, really invest in themselves and the team over their time off.
Plus, those teams are on break too. Yeah, it's no advantage for either side, right? Like that's the worst game of the year. That first game after Christmas break. Like I actually got scratched one year, and I was like, you know what? Thank God.
It's always played with a lot of enthusiasm. I don't know. The execution is certainly at the highest level, but
3 passes in a row.
Kind of the team it's whoever scores in their opportunities, because there's going to be lots of them probably both ways in those games. Yeah. Right.
All right, Fersch, listen, we appreciate you.
Thank you so much
for us, and we'll keep an eye on you. And hey, listen, I'll be in Vegas, and I hope to see you there. That'll be a successful year in a row, a second year, after the big championship last year, which you guys went in and really took care of business. I think anybody who watched that game could see what a machine your team was. So we'll look forward to seeing you back there, and we'll keep in touch. All right.
Guys, thanks for having me on. I really, really appreciate it. And we'll get your plane tickets booked for the first game of the arena.
Yes, right. Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it.
That'd be awesome. All for that. Great stuff. Yeah, what an honor.
I told you he's a great. I told you, there's no reason he might look intimidating, but he's a good dude. I mean,
even just that Flyers stuff too.
He has this sort of infectious energy, and I think even watching him on the bench, when I'm between the benches, he doesn't yell at least in the games I've done, he doesn't yell and scream. He doesn't have to. He can probably just look at the guys and they know. And I think that's the presence I'm talking about. I saw a comment in our chat. I think it was from Dan Knighty. He said, I wish he was the coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. Listen, had he gotten that job, and if Tocchet would have stayed in Vancouver, I think he would have done a great job. I do. I think he would have done a great job as an NHL head coach, because you have a guy that I think people will follow. I think Fersch is the kind of guy that you could put him as the CEO of a company that maybe he doesn't know anything about. He could get everybody on board to follow him. And that's sort of the presence and the leadership that some guys just have as their personalities, and some people don't, and he has it. So it's good opportunity for everybody here that follows our show to get to know him a little bit today and see what he's all about, because he's a cool guy for sure.
Yeah, no, I love that. He kind of openly said that he interviewed with the Flyers. Like, I found that very cool. Like, I don't know if every coach would like openly say that.
He's an honest guy. It was widely.
No, yeah, I love that. I love that.
But no, he's a pro. That's the thing. He has a pro background. The college coaches that have a pro background versus that don't, they handle things differently. They just do. So it'll be good to keep watching him play. Like, I would fully expect to see his team get on a little bit of a run in the second half. They're playing very, very well right now. They split with Duluth over the weekend. We just had Scott Sandelin on. Was it last week or the week before? We know.
I think 2 weeks ago. Last week we had Cashman.
we know how good that team is. And then, Dartmouth, they're up to 10-0. So
Crazy.
I think we're creating good, all the college coaches that have come on the show. It's been good vibes, as Johnny would say, after, other than our friends on Com Ave who lost to Vermont on Saturday in the last 30 seconds of the game, which is a tough loss for those guys. Not very pretty, but, nonetheless, I thought Fersch would be a great guest. I really did. I'm not surprised the chat was so engaged with him during that conversation.
And again, like these programs are all so different, right? Like Western Michigan versus Michigan State, two completely different programs.
Or Michigan, it's like they're on different planets, these places. Yeah.
It's crazy. Other NHL talk I think we can get into, Colby. I mean, we can talk about like the league leaders and points. We could talk about teams we're looking for this week.
Let me ask you this. I want to go back to New York for 1 second and ask you about something. Yeah. What was your impression of Carter Hart live? I did watch a good portion of that game, but not the entire game wire to wire. I watched for probably the first quarter of the game. I missed about 10, 12 minutes, and then I caught the second, 2/3 or maybe the last third of the game. Obviously he made some good saves because New York really was.
Second period, he was huge.
Made that short side. I think it was Zibanejad had that short side opportunity that he jumped into, but just from like a comfortability standpoint, did he look comfortable in net to you? Does he look like he's scrambling a little bit? Like what was your thoughts on seeing him live? And Lepresti's in our chat talking about the Lafreniere shot. That was a snipe.
That's a goal in any league. That's a goal in any league.
That's a beautiful goal. That's a big time shot in a spot where nobody's saving that. So no problem there. And I do see people asking us about Wisconsin in the chat. We will get Mike Hastings this year on the show. I mean, no doubt about it. I know Hasty really, really well. He's an awesome guy. We will definitely get Hasty to come on the show at some point. So we're not ignoring you, but we're going to move on from the Cup of College segment and go back to the NHL now.
I think Hart played well. The second period, again, the Rangers had a chance to really break that game open. Connor Sherry had a couple chances. Berard had a great chance. I think JT maybe even had a good quality scoring chance. He shut the door. And again, like the Rangers were really pressing in that final 10 minutes of the second. And then Vegas goes into the third period down 1 goal. I think they start the period with a power play, and they find one late, obviously, due to the coincidental, roughing calls that we already talked about. But what I'm curious is, Colby, and again, like we're just talking about Carter Hart, the hockey player. Please, I cannot stress that enough. Like we're going to have to mention.
I don't think you need to stress it anymore. I mean, people are going to feel how they're going to feel. No, like we've already talked about things we don't agree with, things that we didn't like, but we've also talked about the fact that he was acquitted. Like he wasn't convicted of wrongdoing, and maybe morally wrongdoing, but not illegal. And so I appreciate that you continue to say that.
I respect it. Yeah, I respect the people's feelings that don't. I get it,
but we're talking about the guy who played in goal last night and what he did between the pipes. We're not talking about what he did when he left the rink. We're not talking about any of that.
I'm prefacing that because my question to you is going to be Thursday night. Vegas is in Philadelphia. Does he play in that game? Like, do you put him in that atmosphere?
Yeah, I don't see why not. His last start was on Sunday. They don't play again until Thursday.
They play the Islanders tomorrow.
So you think they'll go back to who's even up? Who's
Akira Schmid? Akira Schmid played the last game.
So you think?
But he was day to day before yesterday. He played yesterday. They play the Islanders tomorrow, and then they're in Philly on Thursday.
I mean, yeah, like why wouldn't he start if it's his start in Philly? Like you're worried about what? Like him getting heckled?
Well, no, people said like they're calling him day to day because it's a road game. They don't want to put him in a road environment. Like that was just, again, fan speculation. But I'm just asked, like, again, like I don't know if you put your player in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think if it's his start, it's his start. You brought him here to play. You got to like give him starts to get his head above water. And you've got to get him back into the routine of being an NHL hockey player. I mean, a lot of time away. And so I think at this point, sure, maybe you're going to protect him a little bit, but listen, when you fuck up, you're going to face the music.
You got to answer it. Yeah.
If you can't face the music, then you don't belong back in. And so he's back in. He made his bed. He's going to have to now sleep in that bed every single day and answer the questions he's going to have to answer. And he's going to have to face the criticism he's going to have to face. And he's going to have to go in the net and be a good goaltender in order to stay in the NHL. Like,
well said. I agree.
He's got to be treated like any other player. You made a mistake. You're going to now answer for that mistake in every city to every media. And then, you know what? That's part of being an adult, is when you make a mistake, time to face the music. And he's faced a lot of music, and he'll continue to face the music. And people are going to ask their questions. They're going to have their judgments, and they're going to feel the way they're going to feel. And that's it. But eventually, look, I understand early on here, you want to find him some rest. You don't want to play him into the ground. You want to protect his health, his groins, his hips, all the things that you can't really simulate without playing in an NHL game. So I wouldn't be shocked to see some days where they find him rest days and this and that. And so, but I believe he should be in the net, and like at some point you got to get him starts and see what do you have? Is he going to be your guy for the playoffs? I mean, what's interesting is I remember when Tuukka Rask tried to come back under Bruce Cassidy. Do you remember that? He made his little push to come back after the injuries, and it didn't last very long.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
They like Bruce Cassidy, like I've said before, he's not the most patient with goaltenders. So it'll just be interesting to see. I mean, so far he has not looked bad. He's definitely looked rusty, but he has not looked bad. And what does he have? 2 wins under his belt now? I know
two starts, 2 wins. Yeah, 2 starts, 2 wins.
2 wins. Two nights where he made the saves he needed to make, and his team won. Right. So, that's also part of it. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And we're going to keep talking about it because it is a story. There's no doubt it's not a story. Whether it hurts your ears or not, it's a story. Right. And our job is to talk about stories. So, that's just how it's going to be, Johnny, moving forward. And he's part of the National Hockey League, which is the league that we first and foremost cover and talk about. And that's why people come here to listen to us. They want us to talk about the National Hockey League. And what's
I was just asking you the question. Yeah, I'm just asking the question. Obviously, that's going to be a heavily talked about conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Back in Philadelphia, there was speculation he was going to go. I think the Flyers would have potentially looked at him as an option to come back and play there. Right. But I think he wanted a fresh start, and that you can't blame him for. I mean, whatsoever. So, this is where we're at with it, Johnny. And that's where we're going to go. And so, I'll mention this, the GMs are converging on, Colorado Springs for the Board of Governors meeting. So there are,
St. Paul's the USA hockey meetings.
It's usually in warm weather. It's funny. Like I talked to Frank yesterday because we went up to take our kids to see this light show up by where he lives. So I called him to see, hey, do you want to have dinner before? And he said, I'm on the way to the airport. I'm heading to Colorado for the Board of Governors meetings. And so I'm pretty sure he said it was Colorado Springs is where they were. But we're going to try to get David Pagnotta on here, whether it's tomorrow or Wednesday, and see what's going on at the Board of Governors meetings and sort of where we're at with that. I did talk to Pete DeBoer, and he said he's going to come on our show on Thursday.
Awesome.
So it'll be great to get him on the show on Thursday. So I'll be looking forward to that all week. Obviously, a guy that I'd love to hear from. And Jim the Swede says, get Jackie back on. We're working on it. We're definitely working on that. So, Johnny, I know we still got 1 or 2 things we got to hit on real quick, and that's pretty much what we have for today.
Just the bet. I also wanted to point out, it'll be a conversation probably throughout the week too. We're not going to talk about it right now just for time purposes, but Vancouver is in New Jersey on Sunday. So all the Quinn Hughes Devils talks,
freaking out that Quinn Hughes referred to Fitzgerald as Fitzy.
Yeah, his 2 brothers play there. They're friends.
Listen, anybody who knows Fitzy,
I call everyone by their nickname.
It's Johnny's probably best friends with the guy, and they've never even met. So people making a big deal about that. I mean, I know him decently well just from the Boston hockey scene, and you know, when he was assistant GM, where was he the assistant before he took over in Jersey? Was it Pittsburgh? I want to say he was the assistant somewhere, but I've had the chance to drink a bunch of beers with him at the Frozen Four over the years. Like, he's a beauty, Fitzy.
I'm going to one up you here. I took a shot with him and Jack and Jim Hughes in Nashville at the awards a couple years ago. That was like,
perfect.
So,
that's what I mean. Like, he's a hockey guy, Fitzy. So to think you wouldn't call him Fitzy, I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
So
that was pretty funny. Like, I saw people saying like, bad look that he's calling him by his nickname. It's like
nothing to do with it. So
just like he calls Billy Guerin Billy. Like,
did you hear my question to Razor last week? Like, why would Luke Hughes want to assure himself the second power play for the next 8 years by playing with his brother? I think that's a real question. I don't think that's a nothing burger question.
He's making $9 million whether he's in the first power play, second power play, or in the stands.
Be on there. I disagree with that.
I think he'd rather have his brother on his team than like, I don't know,
be on the second. Competitive natures.
Maybe they'll play together. Maybe they'll
$9.5 million. That goes out. Think about it. How many times have we talked to a guy that we both know that make a shit ton of money but can't score, not playing well, whatever, and like they're totally depressed and miserable, and you're sitting there and you're like, you make $7 million. How could you care? These are competitive motherfuckers.
I think they could even be on the same power play unit. Who says they can't? Imagine having Luke, Quinn, and Jack walking up top. Who's defending that?
Yeah. So you'd have the three top. Top of your umbrella is all.
You have Luke on his one time, Jack on his strong, Quinn in the middle.
Yeah.
1,000%.
Not many top power play units in the NHL are doing that. And you'll have 3 lefties at that point.
Yeah.
And so then who comes off? So let me just ask you, if you have 3 Hughes on your power play, then okay, so the 3 of them, and then who else is on that power play? Who's playing net front for you on that power play?
You got Nico at the net front, you got Bratt in the bumper.
Okay. All right.
Bratt in the bumper probably makes no sense.
You're taking Meyer off the power play, you're taking Mercer off the power play, like,
or you just have 2 really good power play units. You can put Mercer in the bumper on the top unit.
Yeah,
Meyer
but buddy, if you have the 3 Hughes on one power play, they're playing 1 minute and 40 seconds of that power play unit.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's a good problem to have.
Listen,
it's a good problem to have.
I'm just asking the question. That's all. I'm asking the question.
Do you have time for one more thing quick?
I really don't, but sure, go for it.
Well, I found it really interesting. With like 5 minutes left last night, Bruce Cassidy had Mitch Marner playing D. For an offensive zone faceoff, he had 4 forwards, Marner on D. And I can't remember the last time I had really seen, or if I've ever seen, a forward drop back to D at 5-on-5 to try and tie the game. Like, you don't really see that often. And Marner obviously is quarterbacking their 5 forward power play unit. But it was Marner and
Theodore was on the ice. Listen, Noah Hannafin's he's more of a two-way guy. He's not like your pure offensive guy. And Marner, listen, Marner's good defensively, right? Jeremiah just threw it in the chat. This is exactly what was about to come out of my mouth. Sergei Fedorov used to do it all the time.
Well, I would remember
Fedorov
that.
Also played D at times, right? Played D at times. Look at the trick. I triggered some people here in the chat. You could start to see the trigger fingers are happy here, are getting a little bit happy. So I'm not surprised to see Bruce Cassidy do that, because I'm pretty sure Marner even did that. Yeah, Vic is telling me right now Marner did that with Keefe in Toronto. So
no, but I think he played D though. Like, he was actually playing D for one game, I think.
Listen, I think with Marner, who's a guy who positionally understands where to be, that's obviously what the Toronto Maple Leafs are missing this year is Mitch Marner. I think we can all agree with that, right? So, yeah, I don't think it's that out of look. As structured as Bruce Cassidy is, he's still an offensive thinking guy. He was an offensive player. He wants skill. He wants guys who can play offense. So that doesn't surprise me, is all I'm saying here. Having spent a lot of time with Bruce Cassidy, it doesn't surprise me. So, all right, Johnny, let's get to Bet365, all right?
Yes, Bet365, whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. So download the app and get in on the game. Remember, you must be 19 or older. And tonight, why not look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have lost 3 straight games, 2 of those being to the New York Islanders, and look at their opponent and who they're playing. And they are playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have won 3 of their last 4, but they're coming off of a shootout loss. What's happening?
Loops? Did you just
I
call
don't
them
know.
the Toronto Maple Loops?
I misspoke for sure. I don't know what I said, but it wasn't on purpose.
Maple Loops makes me think of 2.5 Men because that's one of the
cereal. The Charlie Sheen commercials.
That Charlie writes commercials for Maple Loops.
Yeah, that's funny. Maybe that was subconscious. I love that show, by the way.
Well, that's also been a good little rivalry from what's brewed in the playoffs over the years, Tampa and Toronto. And Matthews' pulse has started to, let's say, come back over the last couple of games. I still don't see him even close to Jack Eichel's level, but he is starting to have a pulse again over the last couple of games.
Jim the Sweet. It's got oats and corns and seeds. It's the greatest maple treat. It's maple-licious, right? Is that what it was? Something like that? Anyway, off topic. We're going Tampa money line to end their 3-game skid in Toronto. I haven't watched the Leafs in a couple of days, so tonight will be fun to do that. I think that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Colby, any final thoughts before we get off here?
No, I think that's all we got. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. Go to automatic downloads on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Leave a review. Put your automatic downloads on. We do have a packed week. Like we said, we're trying to get Pagnotta tomorrow. We have Pete DeBoer on Thursday. I'm not sure exactly what other guests we might look at. It will kind of just depend on what's going on in and around the NHL here over the next couple of days. But I mean, Johnny, like, we're not far off here from Christmas. I mean, we're in the thick of it here. It's December 8th. Before we know it, it's mid-December. And then we're starting to creep closer to the new year where we're going to get Olympics rosters revealed. And, you know, that's one of the things we're going to talk to Pete DeBoer about this week. He's obviously heavily involved with Team Canada. So, you know.
Do we ask about that Emily Kaplan feature? Our friend Emily, the ESPN, like, about pulling Ottinger?
We can. Listen, Pete DeBoer's a pro. I mean, listen, he's a pro. I mean, it's already been lived out and talked about. So if we want to revisit it, I would say this: there's nothing, there's nothing that is off limits with a guy who is a pro like him. So I see your comment in the chat, Zach82. I'll text Reamer today and I'll see what his schedule's like this week. We are due for a Reamer appearance. So, you know, that is something that I'll check in about this week. And other than that, listen, we hope everybody has a good rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of the shows on the Daily Faceoff YouTube throughout the rest of the day. Leafs Morning Take, obviously, at 11. I know Vic has to always get going to get there. And we will continue to move along this week, and we'll see everybody, as we always do, 9 a.m. tomorrow. Have a good day, everyone.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to Morning Cuppa Hockey here on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, we've got more great hockey content every day. You can catch DFO live at noon and stick around for the Sheet with Jeff Marek at 1 p.m. right here on Daily Faceoff. Until then, keep your coffee hot and your takes hotter.